It's about the view. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. It's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. How can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lies after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest.
The media world erupted this week when two of television's most distinct universes collided. You're about to witness the aftermath of what happens when late-night comedy targets daytime talk. And trust me, it's the TV drama nobody saw coming. Ever wonder what happens when two completely different TV personalities who've never met suddenly find themselves in an unexpected war of words? That's exactly what happened when Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf decided to address comments made on The View, creating one of the most talked about media moments in recent weeks. It all started innocently enough. During a segment on The View, the hosts were discussing late-night television when Gutfeld's name came up. One of the hosts claimed not to know who he was, saying, "Who is he? I don't watch the show." Another host added, "Never heard of him." Simple enough, right? Just a casual dismissal that happens all the time in the competitive world of television. But what happened next caught everyone by surprise. Instead of letting the comment slide, Gutfeld decided to address it directly on his own show. Now, to some news, they say they've never heard of you-know-who, he began, launching into a segment specifically targeting the daytime show. It wasn't just a quick mention, it became an entire comedy bit focused on The View hosts.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys?
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines.
Now to some news. The feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
Our View on The View. Ugh.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Well, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs.
The response was calculated, theatrical, and designed for maximum impact. "It's time for our view on The View," he announced, setting the stage for what would become a viral moment. He played the clip where the hosts claimed not to know him, then proceeded to unleash a series of jokes and commentary that pulled no punches. Think about that for a second. A passing comment on one show became ammunition for an entire segment on another. This is how media feuds are born in the digital age, not with carefully worded press statements, but with on-air jabs designed to generate clips, tweets, and endless discussion online. What's fascinating is how differently these two shows operate. The View positions itself as a serious forum for discussion, where important issues are debated with gravitas and authority. Gutfeld's show, meanwhile, thrives on irreverence and satirical commentary. They're speaking completely different languages, which is why this clash became so compelling. Kat Timpf, Gutfeld's co-host, played a crucial role in escalating the situation. With her signature deadpan delivery, she commented on The View's content. For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. She mimicked their discussions with exaggerated monotony, saying, "They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years.
Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch and Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo. The motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is.
This wasn't just about defending their show, it was about framing the difference between their approach to television and the views. While one show embraces controversy and comedy, the other prides itself on serious discussion and moral clarity. When these worlds collide, the contrast becomes the story. The power dynamic here is fascinating. The View has been a daytime television institution for decades, winning 31 Emmys and featuring some of the most recognizable names in television. Gutfeld's show operates in the late-night space, with a completely different audience and tone. Yet in this moment, these differences became the perfect fuel for conflict. What makes this story so compelling isn't just what was said, it's what happened afterward. The clip went viral, spreading across social media platforms and generating thousands of comments. People who had never watched either show were suddenly invested in this unexpected feud. The internet did what it does best. It amplified the conflict, created memes, and turned a TV moment into a cultural touchpoint. The most revealing part of this entire situation is that neither side needed to engage the other directly. The View hosts could have ignored Gutfeld entirely, and he could have let their comments slide. But they chose engagement, and that choice speaks volumes about how media works today. Conflict drives attention, attention drives ratings, and ratings drive revenue. It's a cycle as old as television itself, just playing out at internet speed.
I just want to hit myself in the face so I can feel something. You know, it's like so boring. He's like, yeah, I like Instacart, but don't worry, I tip the pours. But, you know, Joy, you actually don't like Instacart, and you do like the store. And then Joy is like, yeah, I do. I like to go to the store. I like to walk around and see what's at the store, what I do want, what I don't want. Maybe I want tuna fish, and I just want to hit myself in the
Now let's be clear, Sunny didn't.
Let's break down one particularly fascinating exchange. During The View, one host mentioned discovering Instacart 3 years ago, adding, "I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well." This small comment became fodder for mockery, with Gutfeld's team describing it as, "She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable." This illustrates something important about modern media conflicts. They're rarely about substantial disagreements. They're about style, tone, and cultural signaling. The View host was trying to signal compassion and awareness of labor issues. Gutfeld's team interpreted it as elitism and performance, two completely different readings of the same statement, shaped by the hosts' pre-existing views of each other. Some media analysts have pointed out that these kinds of conflicts aren't actually about the individuals involved. They're about the audiences they represent. The View speaks to a predominantly female, politically liberal audience. Gutfeld's show targets a more conservative, irreverent viewership. When the shows clash, they're really acting as proxies for much larger cultural divides in America. The true genius of how Gutfeld and Timpf handled this situation wasn't in the specific jokes they made. It was in their understanding of how media narratives work. By responding to The View's dismissal with amplified mockery, they guaranteed that the story would grow legs. They knew that their audience would rally around them, that clips would spread, and that the entire exchange would become something bigger than the sum of its parts.
Were you pretty surprised that they didn't know what this show was?
No, I'm also not surprised that there's one part of the video from the show yesterday that you left out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can we roll that, please?
I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen it.
Who is that? Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five, who, if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this, his show should be called Cat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
Somebody's flirting with little cat over here.
Well, she's the Republican one at the table, but I just think as a libertarian, I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics. So I find some common ground in The View where she thinks I'm funny and I agree.
The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull.
There's an art to manufacturing these kinds of moments. It requires understanding what buttons to push, how to frame the narrative, and when to escalate versus when to let things simmer. In this case, they chose maximum escalation, turning a throwaway comment into a full-blown media event. What's perhaps most interesting is that this kind of conflict actually benefits both shows. For The View, being targeted by a late-night host reinforces their position as serious cultural commentators who stand above the fray. For Gutfeld, taking shots at an established daytime institution positions his show as the irreverent outsider willing to say what others won't. It's a win-win, even if the words exchanged are anything but friendly. Behind all of this is the changing landscape of television itself. Traditional TV is fighting for relevance in a world of streaming services and social media. Creating memorable moments that can be clipped, shared, and discussed online isn't just good television, it's survival. This wasn't just a clash of personalities, it was a demonstration of how TV shows must now think beyond their time slots. The aftermath of this exchange spread far beyond the original broadcasts. YouTube channels dedicated to TV drama picked up the story, creating compilation videos with titles like Gutfeld Destroys The View or The View Hosts Respond to Late Night Attack. Millions of views later, what started as a simple comment has become a self-perpetuating content machine. This phenomenon reveals something crucial about modern media. The line between reporting on conflicts and manufacturing them has never been blurrier. News outlets covering the feud generated more attention for it, which in turn created more incentive for the original participants to keep it going. It's a perfect ecosystem of attention, designed to keep viewers engaged across multiple platforms.
Mocked by The View over his name, prompting Musk's child to exclaim, "Daddy, I didn't know hippos could talk." Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Timpf and Gutfeld.
Ah, you look tantalizing. You know, I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered.
3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable.
What's next for this unlikely television rivalry? History suggests it won't end here. These kinds of conflicts tend to simmer, occasionally flaring up when ratings need a boost or when a slow news day creates space for manufactured drama. The participants understand the game they're playing, creating compelling content that keeps audiences coming back for more. The real takeaway from this entire situation isn't about who won the exchange. It's about how media figures across the spectrum have adapted to an environment where attention is the most valuable currency. Every comment, every reaction, every perceived slight becomes potential material for content. The show never really ends. It just moves from one platform to another. For viewers, this creates an interesting dilemma. Are we watching genuine conflict between media personalities with legitimately different worldviews? Or are we watching a sophisticated performance designed to keep us engaged across multiple shows and platforms? The truth, as always, probably lies somewhere in between. What remains undeniable is the entertainment value of these clashes. There's something compelling about watching people from different media worlds collide, especially when they represent such different approaches to television. It's like watching different species encounter each other for the first time, fascinating precisely because of how foreign they seem to one another. As media continues to fragment, with audiences splitting into increasingly specific niches, these kinds of cross-show conflicts might become even more common. They serve as rare moments when bubbles overlap, when different audience segments briefly pay attention to the same story. For networks and hosts alike, that makes them invaluable.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being.
The next time you see a television feud unfold, look beyond the specific comments being made. Ask yourself, who benefits from this conflict? How is it being amplified? And what does it reveal about the changing nature of media itself? The answers might surprise you, and they'll certainly help you understand the hidden mechanics behind the content you consume. For now, this particular chapter in the ongoing drama between daytime and late-night television appears to have reached its conclusion. But in a media landscape built on conflict and attention, you can be certain that another clash is just around the corner. The only question is which personalities will be involved and which audience will be watching. In the end, perhaps the most honest assessment of this entire situation came from Timph herself, who noted, "I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics." Even in conflict, there's an acknowledgement that these media figures are all playing parts in the same larger system, a system that rewards engagement above all else. And that's precisely why we can't look away, even when we know exactly what's happening. The drama may be manufactured, but the entertainment is real. In the attention economy of modern media, that's all that really matters. So the next time you see television personalities from different shows taking shots at each other, remember what you've learned today. It's rarely as simple as it seems, and it's almost always more calculated than it appears. But that doesn't make it any less entertaining, and that's exactly how they want it.